Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for another What We Really Learned from the past Chelsea game, this time from a lovely and wonderful Wednesday evening in Seville, in Spain, as Chelsea managed to win a quarter-final, Champions League quarter-final Thursday, comfortably, realistically, 2-0, and kind of have already 1 foot into the semi-finals. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still have a second leg to go next week, but it was a very, very good start. To discuss all of that, to discuss the Tammy Abraham rumours, even though I know Lewis discussed that a lot on his channel already, so we're just going to touch on it briefly. A couple of dodgy things that have come out on Twitter the last few minutes before we went live here, which we might just hint on, because I'm not sure how much we should talk about this in terms of monetization on YouTube, and maybe a little bit about the other Champions League games today. And to do all of that, we are joined by my brother, my partner in crime, Mr. Carefree Lewis G. Bro, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Again, great to be back on there. My fucking ring light isn't working, which is annoying me. But yeah, everything's good. Everything's good. What are you saying, man?
Bro, I'm good. Also, at least we had, time savings thingy, so there's daylight for you, so you're fine for the time being. But by the way, everyone in the chat that got sent over from Lewis's stream, big up Lewis, big up everyone that came over.
Thank you for joining in as well.
Exactly. No, I love it. Big up Jester, as always. Love the man. Absolutely love the man. And Father, with the super chat, saying, can we talk about how awful Twitter admin was last night? Twitter admin had another howler on posting the team lineup. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it was necessarily the admin's fault yesterday or whether they purposely did it late. I don't know. But if you didn't clock what was happening, Chelsea didn't post the lineup until 7 or something? It was crazy. Or 7:15. Nazar Quintela was the first one that I heard that put the line about just 2 or 3 minutes after 7. So even they were late. So it was a bit weird. It was a bit all over the shop. But ladies and gentlemen, as you might have been able to tell from the title, Craigo 28 Football will also join us in just a few minutes. Man's just getting home from work. So big up to him as well for jumping on straight after. But Lewis, last night was good, wasn't it? Obviously, we were on the watch along together. So, we did kind of speak about it. And there were certainly times when we weren't all too happy with how the game was going. But at the end of the day, we got a 2-0 win away in Europe. I know the second leg will officially be away too, but we got a 2-0 win away in Europe. It's big, isn't it?
Yeah, we handled that perfectly for me. Obviously, first off, we struggled with dealing with the press from Porto, but you have to give respect to Porto. And that's been the one thing I've been trying to push as well, because a lot of people are saying Jorginho and Kovacic were terrible, and I don't really think they were. Nothing part of my mind thinks that. I think it was just more they got given a real good test by Porto's midfield. They pressed the hell out of them, especially in the first half. We struggled to get passes forward as a result of that. That's why we were passing sideways a lot, but they were pushed to do that. Second half, after the first goal came in and the game was opened up a little bit more, we started to dominate a lot more in those midfield areas. Jorginho was looking a lot more comfortable in the middle. Mateo Kovacic, there was the annoyance of his passing sideways and everything, but we retained possession. And that was the main key factor of this entire system whenever we have the two of them playing in midfield, is that they retain possession and that we're more comfortable, we spend more time on the ball, which means there's less to worry about when the opposition have the ball. Our only issue was the ball spent a lot of time in the defensive third. We had to deal with a lot of threat from set pieces, a lot more than we expected to deal with. And we handled that well as well. And then we took our key moments when it came. Obviously, there's going to be questions about the performance of some individual players. We're going to talk about Timo Werner, probably. I'm sure we're going to get into that as well. But overall, great performance. And we left with the dream scoreline, 2 away goals. We take it back to Sevilla next week as a home team. It's going to be a much more open game as well because Porto have to come out. But we did an excellent job for ourselves. Brilliant job.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, me and myself and Pice and Miz as well discussed this last night in terms of, was it just Porto being good in terms of the midfield? Was it Jorginho and Kovacic being bad? Was it them? Was it kind of a mix of the two? And that's what I thought. I thought they were good. I would have rated them both about a 7, which is a good rating. But I didn't think they were like an 8, 9, whatever rating, right? So I think they were good. They could have dealt with it an edge better, I think, at times during the game. Like you said, there was times where it was good and there was times where it was less so. But yeah, I don't think you can run out and criticize any of the defensive players. Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, they definitely weren't good today. I mean, people will probably tell me I have an agenda again. For me, it's like, with Kai Havertz, we just really didn't play to his strength at all. And Timo Werner was just doing Timo Werner things. Couldn't control the ball, didn't get after any balls. But of course, also the passes from the defenders and the midfielders, the long balls, let's be honest, they were really poor yesterday. It's a weird way to look at this game yesterday because you can look at it 2 ways. First of all, we didn't create much. Porto had a lot more shots than us, although not many of them were very dangerous. But it's just this super simple change that we need to do, and we could have battered them 5-0. Just play better long balls, and we absolutely destroyed them. But the long balls were just so bad that it honestly, at times, we looked like amateurs. We were just punting one long ball after the other, and they were going out of play for throw-ins, out of play for goal kicks, straight to the defender, straight to the goalkeeper. It was a madness. But overall, it was brilliant. Like, Reece James, masterclass. The guy's just real-life Hulk, not former St. Petersburg.
I have never seen this man lose a 50-50. I swear down.
Honestly.
The strength battle is his to win. Like, Reece James was another potential shout for man of the match. I could hear shouts for him or for Edouard Mendy. Both of their performances were excellent. Defensively, I thought, again, we handled the test really well. Passing from the back, like you said, it wasn't really the best. Like, they were going everywhere, especially in that first half. And this is the thing, because we're not really used to playing long balls like that all the time. We usually try to play the ball out the back a lot more. So I don't really get why we strayed away from that so much. And that's probably half the reason why we struggled so much initially in the game. But we grew more and more into it. And Porto also didn't make us pay for struggling at the start. Edouard Mendy, you have to give credit to him because he came up with a lot of consistent saves throughout the match. But Porto also didn't make us pay. And yeah, like, I'm happy with that because we've had so many games where we aren't clinical and we don't take our chances. It felt like the reverse game because we had one shot that entire first half and we put it into the back of the net. These guys had numerous opportunities and they didn't put any of them into the back of the net.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, like I said, to me, I don't know. I feel like Porto, because we were a bit nervous because it was a big game for us, they seemed more dangerous to us, Chelsea fans, than they actually were. Like, how many chances were actually super close to going in and were like super saves? Or, I mean, there was a couple of very good blocks. That is true. But in terms of, I mean, yeah, the corner, Mendy had to stop that, the direct corner. But I do expect him to save that as well. If, I won't lie to you. And, most of the others too. So, but this is not taking away anything from Mendy. I just think we were more comfortable than you and I and a lot of other Chelsea fans felt like because it was such a big game, if that makes sense. Do you agree with that?
Comfortable in what sense?
Just that they had chances, but none of them were like, we didn't give them any big chances. The only time they had a big chance was when the foul was called and, the ball went over the line after that.
Yeah, not really any outright clear chances. Most of them came from set pieces. There was one from Craigo, which he just completely fumbled his lines on. There was one where he dived and didn't get anything. That happened a couple times, especially in the second half. Yeah, like, they weren't necessarily wasteful. It's just they didn't really, like we said, they didn't have any clear-cut chance, and most of it came from set pieces. That was the biggest shock to me, because the one thing we're all going into this game saying was that the aerial ability is poor. Only won 42% of aerial duels their entire season leading up to this game. That was a big talking point for us going into the match, and they looked a lot more dangerous at it than we did. That was the big surprise.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a weird one, really, because I didn't look at those stats myself, but I don't know, was they just talking about attacking headers, defensive headers, overall? Like, it's a tough one really to read, but that just tells you, stats tell you so much. But if a team has a better day than the average stats will tell you, then they can be a completely different threat to what you expect, I guess. You're into that. For you, man of the matches, men of the matches, you could argue. For you, Reece James and Mendy, did you say?
Reece James, Mendy, or Jorginho?
Jorginho, really?
Like, I understand why he got it. I understand as well that you could give it to Edouard Mendy, and he probably has a better argument for it too. Reece James, again, I understand too. All three of them had excellent performances throughout the match. Jorginho's the one that won it though, and I'm also low-key pushing it because every time I've mentioned that Jorginho's one man of the match, it sparked like a big 40-minute debate on how he got done in for the entire first half, and he didn't. He really didn't. It was just he got tested. Him and Kovacic both got tested by a very strong Porto midfield. And as the game progressed, they passed the test. The first half, we struggled with balls from the midfield third into the attacking third. And that's not to blame Jorginho and Kovacic. That's more to credit the Porto midfield for the job that they did. They made it really hard for us to try and find passes into the final third. That's not to blame either of them. And they still handled that well. They kept the ball moving sideways and backwards. Yeah, you don't like to see that sort of football, but I'd rather see us pass sideways and backwards than lose the ball. So for me, like, he did his job well. In the second half, we controlled the game excellently. he looked a lot more comfortable in there. He looked like the Jorginho of old back again. And I say the Jorginho of old, I just mean ignoring the West Brom game. But with that in mind too, because that West Brom performance, everyone was on his neck for that. And it's like they were begging for it. They were waiting for a performance like that from Jorginho. And I'm glad that he turned it around and he had a performance like this. And him winning man of the match is like the perfect redemption arc from the last game as well. But agenda's got to die. That's literally just it. The agenda against some of our players just needs to die.
That is fair enough. Let's see what Ian will have to say about this. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Craigo 28 Football has joined the party. Appreciate it a lot. Man's just got back from work. Jumped straight on the stream. You don't know. Appreciate it a lot, bro. First of all, how are you? And secondly, what do you think about last night's game and Jorginho getting man of the match?
I even did a custom name. Like I've given myself a custom name that you can't see because of the graphic.
Wait, I'll get rid of the graphic for you.
Damn fucking right.
Put one.
Take that. Cool.
We're going to win the Champions League. We were really good last night, and Jorginho was a big part of it. I'm not his biggest lover, I can't lie, and I still looked at certain things and thought, oh my God, the pace is still a problem and whatever. But going ahead, scoring different types of goals, the attacking play was better. And it's funny, I've been on about for a long, long time, the wanting to go and score more goals in games. This goal, obviously, yesterday, the second one killed off the game for us in terms of this leg. It doesn't kill off the tie, but gives us a massive advantage for the second game. But we've now scored the same amount of goals against Porto as we have against Everton, against Newcastle, against Sheffield and whatever. And
even West Brom.
Yeah, West Brom as well, yeah. And you look, and it's no disrespect to any of the teams involved, but if you probably would have thought about it logically, the team that you probably would have scored less goals against would have been the team that's only conceded 3. Was it 3? I think it's against 3 teams in Europe so far this season, and then Chelsea last night. It was some.
Yeah, but to be fair, against Juve, they conceded 4 over 2 legs.
Yeah, they conceded a few. I think it was Juve. There was another team in the group stage, and then
City,
someone else.
Probably they were in a group with City, weren't they?
Probably Man City. Then yeah. Either way, yeah, they got to a point where they conceded very few goals in the Champions League, and if you would have said that in any of these games that we would have conceded more or less goals, you probably would have said in the Porto game we would have, scored less goals. Probably would have said the Porto game would have been the one, but. I just think it highlights last night. You can score 2 goals against Porto and look quite comfortable doing it, to be fair. But then at the same time, you then look at the Everton game. You look at the West Brom. You look at Sheffield away as well. Could we have gone and got more goals? Could we have gone and got, a third one to really kind of nail it home? That's what I want to see just moving forward. But, the big thing about me last night, and Jorginho's pass was superb for Mason Mount's goal. Everyone knows how much I love Mason Mount, but it was just different types of finishes. That's what it was. It was just different types of finishes, different types of goals. It wasn't trying to walk the ball into the net. It was, in terms of keeping possession, at some point you've got to bite the bullet and try and force it and create your own luck, which is something that I feel Chelsea have been scared to do for a long time. And that's what Jorginho did last night. He made his own luck. Mason Mount took it so perfectly on the back foot, and it was brilliant. Oh, thank you, Jared. Oh, Jared. I put Jared in the chat in Lewis's thing, and everyone ignored me.
I'm sure Jared saw it. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, because I know usually Craigo is rather critical of Jorginho. I'm not saying I was critical, but I didn't think he was quite up there in terms of being mentioned for man of the match. I mean, hey, we all have different opinions. I mean, Lewis put him up there with Reece and Mendy. For me, it was Reece, Mendy, and Chilwell. I thought Chilwell, even besides the goal, had a very good performance, and then the goal put him, for me, alongside. So when we did the player ratings last night, we gave Mendy, Reece, and Chilwell a 9 as sort of the joint highest rated. And maybe Chilwell was below that, but then the goal kind of put him up there alongside them. If that makes sense. I mean, yeah, I totally see what you're saying. Obviously, Jorginho got the assist. And to what Lewis said, I think just before you joined, Ian, was Jorginho was tested last night, as was Kovacic. And as the game went on, they passed the test. And I completely agree with that statement, because it got better and more controlled as the game went on. But why both of them, but also Jorginho, isn't quite at the level of Reece, Chilwell, and Mendy is because Reece and them 3 didn't have to get better. They were kind of good throughout. Hence why they're kind of a step above in terms of match rating. But hey, that doesn't mean, like I said, again, we gave Kovacic and Jorginho in the end, I think, a 7.25 rating because it was 3 people and we couldn't really agree on anything. So, we gave him an above 7 rating. Like, this is still a good rating, ladies and gentlemen. Like, don't be telling me I was harsh or whatever. But yeah, big up everyone in the chat, by the way. Ryan, Shardlight, and again, the City fan. Appreciate you tuning in all the time. Christian, Callum, I see all of you guys. Master Yoda said he hasn't been here for a long time. Appreciate that a lot, bro. And all of you guys, if you haven't already, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that'd be massively appreciated. So, do that. Subscribe to both Ian and Lewis. The links are down in the description below. Click that ad. Help them reach their next subscriber target. For Ian is presumably 20k and for Lewis 25k. So help them get that done. Smash the like button.
What are our targets? What are you on?
Well, 9.15 or something.
9.15.
Yeah.
Guys, come on. I want 10k by 420. Let's go for it.
By 420, yeah, I'll back it. Yeah, why not?
There you go.
We'll celebrate when we do it.
I do. Porto, have a big old celebration for that one. Yeah, lovely. Sorted.
Exactly. There you go. Let's do that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do that. If you want to support the channel, use the super chat function. But of course, you don't have to. I said this last night as well. We'll always be free of charge to watch my content. But let's move on. Talk through the game in sort of other areas of the pitch, shall we say. The front three. I know Mason Mount scored the goal and he had a very good performance overall. For me, part of the reason why we were forced to play as many long balls, and then they just happened to be poor long balls most of the time, but also why we were forced to play so many long balls, for me, the main reason for that was just the front three didn't move enough. They didn't move enough sideways, interchangeable. They didn't drop deep enough because for me, the reason why Kovacic and Jorginho couldn't play more passes to them is because they were obviously pressed heavily. So when you're pressed heavily, you can only play that forward pass on your first touch. But there wasn't enough movement within the front three to allow Kovacic and Jorginho to play that first time forward pass very often. Hence why we had to go back a lot, had to go wide to the wing backs a lot. So I didn't like that from Werner and Havertz, also from Mount, but he was probably the guy that did it the most of the three. Yeah. And again, I've said it before, I just really don't think we played to Havertz's strength yesterday. Like, I don't know whether Tuchel didn't quite expect them to press us as much and therefore obviously wanted to play slightly differently and then we just had to adapt to it. Or whether we wanted to keep playing long balls to Kai Havertz because I felt a bit bad for the guy against Mbemba, against Pepe. Like, how are we expecting him to win these headers to, control these balls and keep when like even Giroud, I wouldn't be mad if he couldn't handle that because they're two very physical, like, strong and good centre backs. So I think it was, just a lack of movement and it didn't quite click. But at the end of the day, like Lewis said earlier, we got better as the game went on, even though there was times in the second half where we also were pinned back. I know we had the ball, but we were still pinned back with the ball in our half, if that makes sense. So like, yeah, we had it, but we barely got into their half with it for at least, let's say 15 minutes of the second half, maybe 20. But at the end of the day, well, Mason Mount still got a goal with that forward pass by Jorginho. Yeah. That touch, I mean, the finish is great. Goalkeeper should maybe do an edge better, but the touch by Mount to turn it on his weak foot and to control it, but not take too much pace off it to still take him into the box and shoot and finish with his second out is unbelievable. And people, I don't think, appreciate quite enough how good that touch is and how few players in the world can control a ball like that. And he's done it, like, even in his first ever game for Tuchel, when he came on against Wolves, he basically had a turn exactly like that. A bit further wide, so he then crossed in the end. But still, he just does that, and it's beautiful to see. By the way, guys, Lewis just got mail, so give him a second. He'll be just back. But what did you make of the front three? Before we get into a few stats that came out about Timo Werner today, what did you make of the front three? Timo, Kai, but obviously also Mason Mount, aside from the goal, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken a lot about Mason Mount, so I'll try and avoid talking about him, although I thought he was really good. But I think the front three is such... It's so weird because we don't know what our best front three is. And I think that the players don't really know who they like playing with and who they like playing, I mean, it's very obvious to go, well, I mean, people like playing with Giroud because they can whip the ball into him. And you think, oh, naturally, that means Hakim Ziyech because he likes to whip the ball in. But I think that the dynamic between the front three is very difficult. The reason why Mason Mount, I think, works in most front threes is because he's going to put the effort, he's going to put the press in, and also he can do, small moments of magic, like what he did yesterday for the goal. But in terms of Havertz and Werner, I mean, I'm a big fan of Havertz. I do like him. I really like when he played against Everton as a false nine. But was yesterday the right day for it? Maybe not. Against Pepe, 38, who was never going to do anything stupid, was never going to do anything nuts. The only thing that Havertz did that was really massive is he allowed Pepe to get isolated against Mason Mount, whose legs just absolutely walked all over him. It wasn't the greatest game I've ever seen. Werner had the one header that he put over the bar. Again, if that's Kai Havertz in that position, maybe it's a little bit different, but, that's shoulda, coulda, woulda kind of thing. But I just think they need to eradicate the whole, the uncertainty about who's going to play when and where and how. Because as much as I like that we can bring in anyone, I still want to see a little bit of kind of continuity so you can kind of build on it. And I saw a lot of people in Lewis's live stream when I popped in for the brief minute saying about, we want to see like Hudson-Odoi play and want to see this person and Pulisic and whatever. And I look at it and go, again, we've got a lot of tough games coming from now to the end of the season. So I can completely appreciate the kind of the idea. But I would really like to see, again, like Liverpool have had for years, Salah, Mane, Firmino. You always know the front three are going to be that. And if someone's injured, you're still going to get the other two. And then the person is just a like-for-like swap. Doesn't, of course, have the same impact all the time when you play Divock Origi or whoever. But that same kind of thing, like when Chelsea won the league under Carlo Ancelotti, you knew up front was going to be Drogba and Elka was going to be there. And it was either going to be Malouda or Kalou. You kind of knew what you were getting. And I think that helps with, the continuity and the chemistry. I hate that word, but the chemistry between the front three is very, it is a very big thing. And I think if you want to play Kai Havertz as a false nine, you're going to have to accept certain games he's not going to be it against certain opposition. But over time, it might work brilliantly well. But again, the left-hand side still kind of goes up for debate. It's not drastic, do you know what I mean? But it's just different is all it is. It is just different, which again, different can be good, different can be very bad. Different types of goals are superb, but I want to see more. Again, I just want to see more, and especially the two Germans at £50 million and £72 million for Werner and Kai Havertz. They've got an expectation against them, whether it be their fault or not. They've still got that. That kind of price tag to live up to, even if it is slightly unfair, especially for Kai Havertz. But I just got to see more. I've got to see more. And again, it can be Pulisic. I don't think he's really lived up to the price tag that he's had. Mason Mount is a little bit different because we didn't pay anything for him. Same way Conor Hudson-Odoi and Tammy Abraham are. But if it's tough. It really is tough. I just want to see a little bit more continuity. And last night against this opposition was never really going to be the one where we saw it.
Yeah, that is true. I do agree with that. I mean, there is a couple of ways to look at it. Obviously, Clutch here said he agrees that we need a set front three, but just Werner shouldn't be a part of it, or Werner ain't it. I would personally probably be inclined to agree. And I think, I know what you said, you want that set front three, but I don't think because the system changed and a lot of the football changed when Tuchel came in, and ever since Tuchel, we haven't had a preseason. We played so many games. We've had injuries every now and again. We haven't really had enough games to trial various different front threes. Like we had the Mount Ziyech Havertz one against Leeds. But one game isn't enough to judge are they good or not, because they also need more than one game to get used to each other. But we also haven't had enough training for them to get used to each other, because all it is recovery days between games. It's not much training going on.
And also we've had an international break for 2 weeks as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's definitely been a difficult one.
It is tough. It's very tough.
Yeah, it really is. But Lewis, did you obviously you were getting your mail at the time when I said this. I said part of why I don't think the midfield two played as many forward passes and forward controlled passes as a lot of people might have liked, which is partly why they probably criticized Jorginho as much as they did, or by unfair. To me, was because the front three just didn't move enough in terms of sideways movement, backwards movement. Yes. Obviously, they all made runs deep, but the long balls just weren't good. And to me, the front three would have just had to have a bit more movement, so Kovacic and Jorginho could have found them.
Because sometimes I give Timo Werner credit that sometimes he makes the runs and they don't get looked at. But same way, sometimes it also happens where our movement is just shocking and we just stand by and just let play go all around us and we don't do anything. Like, I don't remember. Do you remember early into the first half? Kai Havertz had the ball on the left-hand side of the box and you whipped in across the face of goal.
And no one was there.
Nobody was there. And this is the problem sometimes. Mason Mount I can understand because Mason Mount usually drops deep. He's always the deepest out of the pair. To an extent, I would say Timo Werner as well, but Timo Werner is meant to be the most forward player out of the lot. So even if he does drop deep, when the ball's in those areas of the pitch, he has to be around there, or he has to be able to use his pace again to the right position. And that's where we let ourselves down as well. And you could say maybe that's half the reason why Jorginho and Kovacic struggle to find the players, because they never really made themselves open in spaces. And we have seen it happen a few times. But for me, that's a mix of that, and it's also a mix of the Porto midfield, because the Porto midfield, I have to give credit to them because they did an excellent job.
Oh, no, 100%. But so because the Porto midfield was as good as they were, Jorginho and Kova needed first-time passing options. Once Jorginho and Kova needed 3 touches for a pass to be available, it was too late. They were pressed. So only if the pass was available for a first touch would it have helped them, really. And that's because Porto were as good as they were in midfield in particular.
Yeah,
we have another donation here. Go on. Say that again.
No, I was just saying you can see it for the first goal as well. You had to do something with the first touch. Mason Mount hits the most beautiful turn that I've seen in years. Opens up a space and a goal-scoring opportunity, slots into the net. Literally, it's the worst punditry in the world. We needed a moment of magic in that first half, and Mason Mount delivered it.
What Drogba used to do.
Exactly what Drogba used to do, what Hazard used to do.
Yeah. That's another line. Have that.
There you go. We have another donation here by Rebez with a 50 Norwegian crowns. Appreciate that. Saying it's fair to dislike the likes of Morata and Shevchenko more than Werner, but 100% he is the worst footballer I've seen us buy up front, I think. And that brings us on to something before we get to what I titled it.
I hate Morata and Werner comparisons, because regardless of how bad Werner gets or how frustrated you can be at him, he was never as bad as Alvaro Morata is, and it's just revisionism if anybody says otherwise. Yes,
I have a couple of stats for you, bro. I have a couple of stats for you.
His all-round game yesterday stunk. Like, don't ask me to defend his performance yesterday, because I really won't do it. But his all-round game has been better this season than anything from Alvaro Morata. But drop the stats, because I know you're about to test me.
I will. Goal contributions for 90 minutes for Chelsea, including penalties won. Morata, 0.63, and Timo Werner, 0.63. Goal contributions per 90 minutes for Chelsea, excluding penalties won. Alvaro Morata still 0.63. Timo Werner 0.57. That's the first one. And then as a comparison, non-penalty goal contributions per 90 minutes. Diego Costa 0.73. Tammy Abraham 0.69. Olivier Giroud 0.68. Alvaro Morata 0.61. Fernando Torres 0.52. And Timo Werner 0.46. And by the way, this is only Premier League and Champions League included, so don't give me Tammy Abraham only scores in the cup. So, I'm just dropping some stats here, and Timo Werner is not just on the eye dreadful, he's also stats dreadful, because I know he has the most goal contributions of every player, but he's also played by far the most minutes of any player in the front line. Like, you can say he has more goal contributions, goals and assists together than Tammy Abraham, but he's played at least triple the amount of games at this point.
Sorry, I saw Melinda's comment.
What a belter. What a belter.
I can't be arsed, man.
What a Melinda.
I hope Gino's watches this at some point. I hope Gino's watches this.
I get that, but Morata wasn't played out of position for half the season, was he?
No, I don't. Don't hate. I mean, I do a little bit, but go on.
Yeah, I can't lie. You'll fit in very well in our group chat, by the way, with the Werner agenda. A lot of them agree with you on this. But here's the thing. I get the statement, I get the stats, but we also say 50% stat, 50% eye test, and we also have to look into context as well. Like we've already said, Timo Werner was played out of position. And really and truly, if we're going to go off what we saw during the seasons, are we going to say Morata was as good all-round as Timo Werner was? Are we even going to say he was better? Are we?
Yeah.
We can use stats to back up the argument, but based on what we've seen, really, because Timo Werner's work rate is levels clear. I think his link-up play was levels clear. His movement is levels clear. Yes, even if the last, I
think work rate is the only one Werner wins.
No, link-up play, I think he's way better. Morata would barely even attempt.
to be fair, didn't Morata have a really hot start to his life at Chelsea? He scored 3 goals against Stoke and all sorts of stuff. And
Werner couldn't even do that.
And then just faded. But the thing is, with Morata, let's also take context into account with his goals. Most of his goals were the same whipped-in ball from, what's his name, Azpilicueta, on repeat.
Yeah, and Werner would have missed a lot of them.
Yeah, but you wouldn't feed that ball into Werner.
Werner ain't jumping up for headers. We already know this, bro.
So that doesn't make it better, does it?
Well, in the air, Morata can have that. He can have that. I don't mind. But that's all he's winning in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, let me just not necessarily interrupt, but as in, I don't want to paint this as if I'm a huge Morata fan and I think he was great. And I don't even want to have this debate who is more bad, if that makes sense. Who is worse? That's not the debate I want to have. I'm just saying that there is also stats that back up some of my criticism and dislike of Timo Werner. And that my big criticism, I'm starting to not even be so annoyed at Timo anymore. I'm starting to push that a little bit towards Tuchel, just like I did towards Lampard. So I'm like, stop playing him all the time. I don't get the point. For me, I mean, you saw it against what's their face? West Brom. The fact that he didn't shoot there, but squared it to Mount, says to me, give the guy 2 weeks, a month. Don't even put him on a bench. Just leave the guy alone. He needs to find a better headspace again. And this is not even taking a piss.
The right decision?
No, of course it was the right decision. But wouldn't you be no Drogba, no Costa, none of these players, no Kane, no Haaland, none of these players would even consider not shooting.
Yeah,
and that tells me he's not in the right frame of mind.
I get that, and also based on the last few months and the Howler misses, I could understand that too. But
of course, I understand it.
But this is why we say he's better all round, because he's got correct me if I'm wrong, he's got more assists than goals now this season, right?
Timo.
Yeah,
sounds about right.
It's very close to it. It's very close.
He's got 10 goals, 9 assists, I think.
Something.
Yeah, so we can claim that he set the ball up, and we could say it's a confidence thing, but he knows how to set players up too.
True.
So really, it could be a bit of both. We can speculate what was going on in his mind at the time. And I understand a real hungry striker with full confidence will be selfish and take that for himself. But Timo Werner's shown this season that he isn't just completely selfish like that. He creates a high volume of chances, not just for himself, but for other players as well.
But it's been a long time since those kind of games happened. When is the last game you can remember that was the case? Because you're right, but we haven't seen that in too long. And under Tuchel, I feel like the only game where you could make that argument, where he created chances for others and loads of it, was probably Sheffield United away in the league. Because I know he won the pen against Spurs, but that is one moment. You can't say he set up loads. That's one moment.
Yeah.
And that isn't taking anything away from winning the penalty. It was still the decisive moment in the game. So well done to him. But it's not a regular thing. For weeks now, he hasn't gotten himself into goal-scoring positions, and he hasn't gotten himself into many assisting positions. What he does do more of is do step-overs and then forget the ball like last night.
I'm not even going to defend last night. I can't be bothered for that. That's too far for me, because even I was sitting there thinking, fucking hell, now he can't even dribble and pass. Now what we're stuck with. I get it. It is so frustrating, especially when we've dealt with all of these other flop strikers over the past few years. I really don't feel like it's the same with Timo Werner, though, mainly just because of how well-rounded he is. I really stuck in my head that Alvaro Morata is the epitome of a flop striker for us. Couldn't do anything on a football pitch except get the same ball from Azpilicueta on repeat. Other than that, couldn't take 50-50s, barely pressed, barely linked up play, barely even attempted to win the ball back, literally just stood there for 90 minutes. That is
shit on one-on-ones and all. Awful.
Do you think, Lewis, can I just make this point? If you say no, it's no. But do you think it could be because for Morata you were in the stand every week and were surrounded by everyone shouting at him, while now you're having to watch every game on TV and you're kind of to yourself?
I understand that point, to be fair.
I understand that too. That's not a bad point, but no, because I'm giving Werner the same energy I gave Morata. Even when he was flopping with all of these misses and everything, I still gave him the first season. Even the Community Shield afterwards, I remember I was saying on fan camps, give Morata a second season, man. He could still offer us something. A fucking idiot thinking that. But there's a second season where everything dropped off, because I saw the same Alvaro Morata from the first season. Again, if anything, he was worse. And he was making more excuses. That's another thing as well. Morata had excuses for days. Excuses over everything. Timo Werner isn't giving himself excuses. He knows he needs to do better. He knows he needs to improve. That is something to me, at least, because he's not thinking everyone else is wrong and he's right. He can see that he's having a shit first season. So that's why I can still get behind him, because everything looks in the right place. It's honestly, I've said it for months. If he could finish, no one would chat a word about his overall play. We'd be giving him all sorts of praise, but he needs to finish. He needs to get those string boots on. And he hasn't been prolific this season. To be honest, he weren't even prolific at Leipzig either, but that's not an excuse either, because he needs to adapt to Premier League football. But that's why I'm giving him the season. Regardless of how frustrating it is or how continuous these misses are, as long as the all-round game is consistent, which I'll say the last few games it hasn't been either, and that needs to improve. I get that. But as long as he continues this work rate and he continues his all-round game to improve throughout the season, I can back him. And as long as he doesn't keep his head down and give up, because Morata gave up. It was clear and obvious that he gave up, and we started it with him.
That is 100% correct. But I will say this: I can't remember the exact number, but I think Timo needs to score 4 or 5 more goals to even get level with Morata's first season. Right. So you can Willie, I don't know, but you can say, obviously, if you include Morata's second season, you have a very good point for most of those things. We don't even know if Werner will be worse next season or better next season. We don't know this. Like, I obviously be confident and hope that he sorts himself out, because realistically he won't leave. Again, my point isn't even, I don't want to even sit here for hours and slate Timo Werner. Again, for me, it's just, I don't see why he keeps playing in so many games. Like, especially when I see the comparison, Tammy taken off after 45, then Tammy not being in the squad. Obviously, there might be reasons behind the scenes that we don't know about, that I don't know about, or things that I might have been told but aren't allowed to share publicly, even though I know I sound like a prick when I say that. I'm sorry. Shouldn't have even told you guys. Regardless, like, we don't know that, fair, but still, when I see Tammy being taken off after 45 minutes, not even being given 490, while Werner is dreadful week after week after week and still starts, then I don't think that's fair. And then I don't think that's holding every player to the same standard.
Yes, I kind of get that. I get that more now, because now even Timo Werner's all-round game has started to dip as well. And that's been that's what I'll get, because we've criticized Tammy Abraham because, yeah, he's our top goal scorer this season, but his all-round game has absolutely reeked for us. So for me, I don't know, because with Tammy Abraham, I've always said it's a longer development plan for him. And the problem is everyone's just being hella impatient. I think with Tammy, as long as he gets this stupid 180k a week contract extension gone, then I think it'd be the best option for him would be to throw him out on loan, because we still want to think of getting in Aguero and potentially another striker on the pair of them too. But I don't want us to get rid of Tammy Abraham either, because I see the quality with Tammy Abraham. Yeah, like when he's bad, he looks absolutely terrible. Yeah. But you can see the quality that he does possess. You just see his all-round game just isn't anywhere near Chelsea standard, and that's the problem. Whereas Timo Werner, his all-round game is good. It's just he doesn't finish. So it's another case where if you merge the two strikers together, you have a perfect striker. But that's
It really would be. I mean, I even felt, obviously only in hindsight, not before the game, but in hindsight, I thought Tammy would have been the best suited striker for this game, the best mix of height and pace that we had. But hey ho. Let me get through a couple of these super chats, because we got a few and we just went off on tangents here. Jester's saying we just need to accept that Werner is going to start the majority of our games. Yeah, I probably need to do that. He's saying I'm going to start the Daryl DK agenda. To be honest, I won't lie to you. I don't know who Daryl DK is. If anyone can inform me about this, I don't know if I'm being a fresh pot here or if if nobody knows, but unless that's the guy from, I don't know, Daryl. The only Daryl I know is the guy from
Barnsley. He's at Barnsley. He's on loan at the MLS right now. Jesters was talking about him on the last stream.
Well, let's start that agenda, bro. Go on. And then we have another, I mean, unless you have anything to add, but we kind of discussed that already. But Deno, another donation. Appreciate it a lot, bro. As always, Werner quality on the ball is sometimes frustrating, but his turns off the ball and finishing was good. But his finishing off, he looks so bad. Not 100% what you meant with all of that. I presume earlier in the season, his finishing was good, but then he just dropped off significantly. And then because he's off the ball at times frustrating, or quality on the ball in terms of dribbling and passing is frustrating, if you add poor finishing to that, it just becomes a bit much for some fans. Not every fan, clearly. Do you have anything to add to that? But either of you guys?
I think goals paper over everything, though, don't they? Let's be honest. Same way when we were keeping clean sheets, it was papering over the fact that certain teams really hadn't tested us. I don't know. I think you can paper over anything if you really want to. So it's not. I wouldn't go too deep into it. Again, he needs to score more goals, but his overall play hasn't been wonderful. But the thing with Timo Werner is he's just as likely, especially from against him and Morata, is when I saw a crap Morata at Chelsea, I never looked at it and thought, oh, in the summer, the World Cup's coming up. Morata's going to go and do bits for Spain. Now I look at this and think the Euros is coming up. And of the two, I'd probably say it's more likely for Timo Werner to go and have a banging Euros than it is Morata to go and have a banging World Cup when obviously they both had their shit years. But also the other thing about Morata, to be fair, is he got benched by Giroud, who is a guy that essentially was playing on one leg. And then you had second season of Morata. He gets shipped out. Was it on loan, I think, originally? Wherever he got shipped out to. Yeah. Replaced by fucking Higuain.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, to be fair, Werner hasn't started any of the last 3 Germany games. I'm not sure whether he's very likely to have a bang in Europe.
Oh, no, I don't think he will either, but he'd be the more likely of the one.
Yeah, that is true. I should say. That is true. We have another donation here by Daily Smith. Appreciate all of you guys with the super chats today. Saying if we sell Werner, it will be Salah 2.0 guaranteed. See, you could be right. But that's the same thing with Salah. We don't know if Salah would have ever been Liverpool Salah for us or not. Like, we will never know. It's always, of course, it's easy to say that and criticize Mourinho for loaning him out and criticize Conte or the club for selling him at the time. Of course, it's easy to do that, but there's no factual evidence to back that up, whether he would have ever been that good. Same as with Hazard now. I mean, I know injuries don't help, but it seems like he's never getting to his Chelsea heights at Real Madrid. Hopefully that changes, just not by the time we play them in the semi-final, hopefully. But, sometimes it just doesn't work quite the same way, and Werner could be that in a perfect system for him, which Leipzig was pretty close to. He could be huge. But we don't play that system, and I'm not sure if the Premier League allows it, in all honesty. But hey, let's move on. Let's get to slightly happier topics. Because we touched on Mason Mount already, and we kind of hinted on Reece James already. But I do want to talk about kind of them 3 English boys, because it's kind of funny, we signed these like super expensive players. Obviously, Ben Chilwell was one of them, but we signed these superstars from different leagues, whether it's Hakim Ziyech, who had that flying run in the Champions League. And to be honest, if Ajax didn't bottle it, should have been in a Champions League final. And who knows how that would have gone against Liverpool. Liverpool might never have won the Champions League, in 2019. Who knows? Hakim Ziyech might have hold one. So, you never know.
Doesn't matter if we win this year anyway. It doesn't make a difference.
Exactly. It doesn't make a difference. True. Obviously, Kai Havertz, we signed for a lot of money. Timo Werner, we signed for a lot of money. And who was the 3 people alongside Edouard Mendy? And, he was a cheap signing, I guess. But who was the 3 people that really stepped up? Obviously, to be fair, Lewis said Jorginho, but who was the 3 people that really stepped up on that quarterfinal level, which we haven't been at for 7 years? Mason Mount, Reece James, and Ben Chilwell. And it's good to see. Like, this isn't, and I'm not throwing any agenda against any of the signings, not at all. I just want to praise these 3 because they're proven hate us wrong week in, week out. I mean, Reece James, a lot of people the last few weeks have said, he's not a right wing back. If we play right wing back, play Callum Hudson-Odoi there or play Pulisic there. Just don't play Reece down, blah, blah, blah. And, the same with Mason Mount. People were telling me, he doesn't do anything in the final thirds, or all he does is run. Okay, we haven't had that. All he does is run for a few weeks, but regardless. And obviously Ben Chilwell, people were saying, Alonso is the best left wing back. And I was saying since day one, since Alonso had the first good game at left wing back and Chilwell had the first poor one, I was like, well, obviously, Alonso's played 150 games in that position while it's probably Chilwell's first ever. So obviously he's not going to be incredible after day one now, is he? And now he's played it 10 times roughly. He's starting to get better and better and better. And the more games he plays there, the more comfortable he looks, which, by the way, is also putting him into a good position for the England squad in case Gareth Southgate does pick a back 3 for the Euros. Because I think in a back 3, the more left wing back he plays, he's more suited to it than Luke Shaw. And if he's going to go to the Euros anyway, then I want him to start. I don't want him to be on the bench. That's annoying. Then might as well stick around and train. But I just have to big all of them up. I think all of them are doing incredible things, and I hope it continues. I mean, I'm sure both of you guys have heard the stats. It's the first time since 2012 that 2 English players have scored for Chelsea in the same Champions League game. So another another bit for Dubois to add into his massive thread of the stars being aligned. So it's just big. It's absolutely big. Let me go with you first, Ian. What do you think about them three? Obviously, you touched on Mason already a bit. However, let's maybe focus on Chile and James a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing for me is, I've said it for a long time. The players that have been brought in, regardless of what position they play, what they do, blah 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 blah. Forget transfer fees. It's just about which players play best and which players step up to the plate. And it has been a case of, in more recent weeks, obviously we're not going to include him in this discussion because he didn't play last night, but even Callum Hudson-Odoi has stepped up to the plate when given the opportunity. Last year, we were talking about Billy Gilmore in that FA Cup game against Liverpool, and all of a sudden, bang, just like that, steps up to the plate, does what he needs to do. It's really nice to see, and one of my main reasons about Lampard going, I was gutted, is because I knew that he was going to get slagged off. I really did know. But Lampard was involved in bringing in Ben Chilwell, and clearly he's got something right about that. Lampard put a lot of faith in Reece James, and he's clearly got something right about that. And Lampard put a lot of faith in Mason Mount, and he got a lot of credit and a lot of praise from that. He did very well for Chelsea, and obviously he's now gone, so we can move on and whatever. But I don't want to forget about, obviously, last year and the difficult year that it was for everyone. But we were in a really difficult position because we had a transfer ban. You got to put faith in these players to step up to the plate on occasion. And last year, in terms of, no, you're not. Yeah, but in terms of the opportunity has been given to those players. They've stepped up to the plate, whether it be in any game, in terms of this season, cup games or Champions League last night. But yeah, no, I mean, it was both in terms of Chilwell's game. I mean, it was probably capped off by the goal. I didn't think he was really wow, and I actually thought that they were really quite poor, down there. Right-hand side. Chelsea could have had a lot of success down it, and maybe actually Chilwell could have done a little bit more. But it's something that Javier Hernandez used to do all the time. Just gamble, and create your own luck. Again, I've banged on about that phrase so many times. Create your own luck, see what can happen. And that's what Chilwell did last night for his goal, which is great. And again, that's an attacking-minded instinct from a defensive-minded player, essentially, or it should be a defensive-minded player. And it's really nice to see. It really, really is. Reece James on the same side, I still think the best of his work's done defensively. But again, he can whip balls into the box. It's a different style for him to have to play. And also as well with having Azpilicueta, obviously at the right-hand side centre-back, if he does go forward and does get caught out, and again, this is part of the learning process, you've got Azpilicueta, who is just, very bread and butter. I'll do what I need to do. And again, he's experienced enough to just sit there and know when the right time is not to go and when to go. It allows Reece James to be able to make mistakes, which he's made throughout the last, 2 years or 2 seasons, I should say. He's made these mistakes at different points, and we're still in a really nice position. Again, play these players. Not every game is a Champions League quarterfinal, but play these players that you genuinely can give an opportunity to when the time comes round. And then on the big stage, they step up to the plate even more. And that's how you get these 3 lads, which is absolutely superb. Again, Chilwell he gambled, he got given the opportunity, he went for it, and he took it around the keeper with such composure. He got outside the box, and I was just thinking, mate, fucking bang it. Just bang it, because I didn't know what to expect. But he did so well to just get right side of the defender, move his body shape. It was just perfect. And it's really nice to see that again, we can sign anyone we bloody want. You can sign all these big people and whatever. But it's really nice to just be able to get into a position where just like in a heartbeat, you can throw these youngsters in, or these youth players or younger players, I should say, with a little bit of inexperience, a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Naivety, I suppose it comes to. But just like that, they turn it on in a heartbeat. It's really nice to see, and it's a really nice legacy still for Lampard to still have these players. And regardless, again, what happens with Thomas Tuchel in a couple of years' time, if he's still Chelsea manager, whoever it is, these players are going to be massive players for us in the future. And again, it's not only one game. It's been coming for quite a while. Again, Chelsea just in a really nice position, and that's thanks to putting a little bit of faith in these youngsters and in these more inexperienced players to step up to the plate when called upon, and they have done it.
100%. And to be honest, we should include Big AC, into that as well. And before I get Lewis on, and give some AC propaganda and touch on Mount Chilwell and James as well, I just want to read out a quote by Danny Drinkwater, which has just been released by Goal.com. I want to continue with Chelsea. I feel like I have unfinished business with this club. I would like to think, in brackets, get into Tuchel's plans. I don't know if it is a good idea to go back and start declaring these things. I've got a long way to go. I'm like, bro, Danny, go drink some water, stay in Turkey, and don't come back. Like it's not going to go well for you. Get in the bin. What are you doing? What are you talking about? But Lewis, Mason Mount, Ben Chilwell, Reece James, of course. Your best friend himself, Mr. AC. They've all stepped up, and it's good to see. Obviously, again, I'm not even trying to sit here and criticize them, Werner or Havertz or whoever else, right? Not at all. I just want to big these guys up because I think a lot of times us content creators or people on Chelsea Twitter, we get caught up in, even on the good days, trying to criticize people too much rather than focusing on just praising people that deserve praise, whether it's for an off game, like for the first really good game in this position in a while, maybe like Ben Chilwell, or whether it's continuous great performances like Mason Mount or Reece James or Andreas Christensen. I think they've all just done incredibly well, haven't they?
Yeah, Christensen had another solid performance. Again, just going to say the entire back three did. I think he made the most passes in the game or something like that. Let me get the stats up here because I just had them right here and now I've lost the app.
I'm surprised you haven't got tattooed onto you, Lewis.
Yeah, just a bit jarred. No, that's Reece James's. Here it is. Most clearances, most accurate passes, most touches, most aerial duels won, and the highest pass accuracy on the pitch. Another amazing performance. And I will say, first half, a couple of his long passes were a bit wayward, but that was literally only in the first half. There was one big one to Reece James that just went wide, and that's all I can really recall. And it's 11 starts now and 11 clean sheets in a row. Obviously, we're going to forget the howler that happened on Saturday. Saturday didn't exist, and we had our first game back off the international break.
And Christensen didn't start.
Yeah, Christensen didn't start. So for me, Christensen don't take full responsibility either for that. But what was I going to say? It was the same back three from the first leg against Atletico Madrid. Azpilicueta, Christensen.
Second leg as well.
Nah, because Christensen got dropped for that one.
True. He was ill, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Some illness. So I don't know why.
Yeah,
it was either anxiety around again or something. I don't know, but he's come back into this game now. First leg of the quarterfinals, and this is kind of why I wanted to see the same back three because they played together for so long. And we said under Frank Lampard that one of the biggest problems was that we kept changing our defensive line. So now we've had the back three that works for the longest. And plus we brought in Thiago Silva. And even if the 2 yellow cards weren't necessarily his fault, he was kind of put in the situation. He still did look a little bit rusty. And for me, that's why I want to try and bring him into the team slowly. He ain't going to start the next game because he's still coming off the red card. Doubt you even see him for the second leg, to be honest. But it's about playing the best team possible and the back three that complements each other the best. And we've been saying that this back three already does that. So yeah, another great performance from Christensen, another amazing performance from the back three as well.
100%. And I saw what you tweeted earlier. Let me just go back to it to find it. Because at the end of the day, we can praise them all we want. I want to get Ian's thoughts on what did you make of the fact that Christensen started over Thiago? Did you expect it? Did you want that to happen? Because it was certainly a big call. Whether you wanted it to happen, whether you expected it to happen, it was a big call by Tuchel, that's for sure. What did you make of that?
I'll be honest, I didn't really care. I can't lie. I could really see the logic between either one of the two playing. Hindsight, yeah, love it. It makes a lot of sense. And to be fair, even Thiago Silva, who I'm a massive fan of, and I will still stand by that he's one of the best centre-halves I've ever seen play live. Again, that's going back last night. Even when he did come on, he started to play these little 5-yard passes and invite unnecessary pressure onto us. And it was just like, as much as I like this cool, calm, collected composure at times, I'm a realist. You've got to get to fuck it mode every now and again and just yeet the thing anywhere, And I don't think Thiago Silva was going to do that. I didn't think Zuma was going to do that. Rudiger does it more than Zuma does, 100%. Christensen does it more than Thiago Silva does. It's just different ways of playing. I don't want to be too predictable to play against, so it makes a hell of a lot of sense. I can't say that I'm fully on the AC hive yet. I can't lie. I still think we need to tie another centre half, really. But I mean, for me, from now to the end of the season, he's got to play pretty much every game. He has to be one of the big focal points in that back three. That back three, especially, is the best back three we've got. Is Azpi perfect at right centre back? Probably not. Is he? Is it ideal? Maybe not. But it's just stupid to not do it. Do you know what I mean? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the old school saying. That's the old school phrase. And there's nothing that AC did wrong last night that indicates massively that he shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, Jester's made a good point here. I'm not necessarily don't see Thiago at right centre back. But I wouldn't be surprised if, like yesterday, I didn't mean to highlight that comment, obviously. But basically, when obviously Thiago Silva came on for Reece James, Azpilicueta moved over to right wing back, and Christensen moved over to right centre back. Which, like Jester said here, Azpi does need a rest sometimes too, and that's probably our next best solution. I know, especially Matisse keeps going on about play Reece James as the right centre back. Still don't really see that. And I was very impressed, by the way, by Azpilicueta for those last 10 minutes at right wing back. Man was bombing up and down that wing like there is no tomorrow.
Yeah, I was surprised.
I was like, bro, fair play. Man was kicking off like nothing. But I think we've discussed last night's game enough. It's brilliant. Let's talk about a couple of other things before. I wanted to quickly just get your thoughts on the other Champions League games before we round this up. And I saw, Lewis, earlier, your tweet was just one normal day on Chelsea football Twitter. I swear down, on my life, we will never see the day. What were you hinting at there, bro? Should we discuss this?
One of our greatest legends caught lacking severely. Over old videos about 15
What is
years.
this? I saw this mentioned on. I think it was.
Oh, you haven't seen the video?
No, I've seen nothing. Do not show it on here, please. I mean,
obviously not. No.
We won't even get demonetized or lose the whole channel and everything. Yeah, we're good. We ain't promising that. But yeah, I think what the story was, it was an old sex tape that got leaked. But obviously, because it's like 15, 20 years ago, it's absolute potato quality.
But the weird thing is, I Googled it, right? And I found the link from 2015. So it's not like this got leaked today. So I don't really know why this is a thing today.
Thank God it's come out now and not when Lampard was manager. That would be the most embarrassing press conference for Palace ever, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for anybody that maybe doesn't know... Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I just don't really know what there is to discuss about, because this was 15 years ago. It was before he got married and everything. Like, it's just footballers being footballers. The equivalent to the Dele Alli sex tape coming out a year or two ago. Just a better player.
Although it made for a great song that whoever played them in the cup, then you've got more silverware, and you've got pubic hair, and that brilliant song.
That would have been that would have been directed at Lampard. Thank God he ain't here. Thank God.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, just for people that didn't hear, it was Lampard, Rio Ferdinand, and Kieran Dyer that were involved in this clip. So yeah, it's a weird one. Again, I don't really understand why it resurfaced today somehow. But again, like I said, I have the link I found was from 2015. Anyways, I just quickly want to round out the Champions League match day, because obviously we've got 1 foot in the semi-final, which is great, and we managed to get the best result in the quarterfinals. No one, I mean, obviously Real Madrid won by 2, but they were playing at home and Liverpool scored an own goal. So by that logic, we have the best result out of any team in this quarterfinal. Let's discuss the other 2 games. Obviously on Tuesday was Man City against Dortmund, with probably one of the worst refereeing performances since Chelsea against Barcelona in 2009. I mean, what a howler. What did you make of that, Ian? What did you make of that game, and what do you make of that tie, going forward to next week?
I didn't watch it live, so I can't say I've seen the entirety of the game. I have seen the highlights. The referee in it is shocking. I mean, as we can all see, we are all aware. But it just leaves a lot to be desired. Honestly, it really does leave. Yeah, it really does does leave a lot to be desired amongst, football in general and the quality of refereeing, not even in England, but just across the whole of it. I've been involved with referees and stuff like that for a long, long time, but I've seen, many people that I know, it's just total shock. There's no other way of saying it. In terms of the result and actually going into the football, I liked what I saw from Dortmund. They didn't have a lot of chances. When they did, they made them count. It really wasn't the most wonderful fixture in the world, but that's what Man City do. Do you know what I mean? They managed a way to dig out results, and the game is far from over. I mean, Dortmund going 1-0 and it's tied, done and dusted. But it was. I didn't look at I didn't look at Man City and think, yep, definite Champions League winners, and I didn't look at Dortmund and think potential Champions League winners. Nothing really stood out to me. It was pretty much just a straightforward game of football. But yeah, no, the highlight of it was the refereeing, which should never be the case. I mean, we're at the quarter-final of the Champions League. We should be talking about the football, but yet here we are in 2021 talking about fucking referees again.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, that's what VAR was brought into, but then you have a referee who blows the whistle before the ball's over the line, so VAR can do nothing about it.
Yeah,
other than, in theory, send Edison off for a red card, which you could argue probably should have done, because not giving the goal is so ridiculous that you can't. Because, I mean, Edison basically just kicked Bellingham in the foot as he was running on goal.
Exactly.
That is probably the closest thing. And that's not even to mention, giving a penalty to Man City when there was zero contact, giving Emre Can a yellow card for telling him it's not a yellow card. Of course, dissent can still happen if he wasn't respectful enough, fair. But why didn't Rodri get a yellow card for the most blatant of dives I've ever seen? He was after the penalty was over, he was like, "Oh my God, why is it not a penalty?" I'm like, "Bro, he didn't even touch you. What are you doing?" But you think that's far from over, or do you think City got this in the second leg and it just wasn't their best day yesterday?
I think they'll still have it. I still think they're out of it, but it's definitely not over. It's definitely not over at all. Again, Haaland's involved, so take nothing into account. The only problem is Dortmund are defensively very poor. Now you're asking them to keep a clean sheet against Man City. I think it's going to go extra time, and I reckon Man City will just pull away.
Could well be. Texas Blue making a comment here. Are we okay with the linesman getting Haaland's autograph after the game? Just to clarify to people that haven't seen, that linesman
apparently went to charity.
Yeah, it's a charity for autistic children, and he gets basically souvenirs, whether it's shirts or autographs or stuff like that, from every basically big game he is allowed to be a part of as a referee, and tries to obviously then help money, raise money for this charity. So I'm not only okay with it, I think it's actually very brilliant from said linesman, because also it's after the game. Maybe before the game it's a bit dodgy, but get an autograph all you want after the game. Are we going to pretend that these referees aren't football fans? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And aren't going to like the best players in the world? Even if he does get an autograph, okay, an autograph is a sign of him liking the player, but he could also like the player and not get an autograph. So it doesn't really change anything. But Lewis, you agree Man City probably still going to go through next week?
Be an interesting second leg tie, definitely will be, but I expect City to have enough power because, like you said, Ian, perfectly, they have a defense. Borussia Dortmund don't. Dortmund have been making defensive mistakes the entire season, so I don't expect much different. Like, Haaland might have a say in this, maybe Jadon Sancho will as well, but I think it's too much to see him go through from here. I expect them to go out. Would like to see them go through though, because I wouldn't mind us playing the Dortmund in the final for sure.
Yeah,
they've got absolutely fuck all to lose because they're not going to qualify for the Champions League for the league. So they have got nothing to lose. They can literally just afford to go for it, which makes a very interesting dynamic. It's just which normally can create really great results
as well, because they're so far ahead. They can't just play a C team on the weekend as well and be prepared for the second leg. To be fair, James, we haven't mentioned that yet. Yeah, Chilwell had one of the most hilarious dives I've ever seen. He started jumping as if he was Superman when the guy didn't even touch him. It was quite funny. Obviously, if it happened against us, I'd be fuming. But Lewis, to talk about, what are you drinking that's so disgusting? You always pull a face whenever you're drinking.
Yeah, no, I've got something down the back of my throat and it's just catching. It's not the drink. I'm just drinking orange squash, but something's catching. It's
okay, to discuss the game that's going to determine our possible, shall we still say, semi-final opponent between Liverpool and Real Madrid, or shall I say Real Madrid and Liverpool. 3-1 to Madrid. Liverpool kind of getting battered, to be honest. I mean, the second half was pretty even, but in the first half, I mean, Real Madrid were kind of toying with them, in all honesty. I mean, Toni Kroos looking like the masterful midfielder that he is, playing some wonderful passes. Vinicius Junior with one of the best shoulder controls of a pass I've ever seen. The man was in full sprint and controlled the ball perfectly into his stride, going with his shoulder like that. I mean, that's outrageous to do that. And then to finish past one of the best goalkeepers still, even if his recent form hasn't been great. Finish past one of the best goalkeepers now, listen, like that. Ridiculous. Obviously, Salah got them the away goal, which was a stupid goal anyway. Like, what a weird goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold making assists for the opponent while, Klopp goes on about, Southgate is a waffler, he's not bad. I'm like, well, you sure, bro? Because I don't think Southgate wants, Trent to assist goals for England opponents in the quarterfinals of the Euros. But Lewis, what do you make of that game? I'm not sure if you watched it or how much of it you knew, but I know Anfield is the second leg, but no fans. Do we think this is over? Madrid will go through?
Exactly. No fans. I think Liverpool will give it a fight, but again, Real Madrid are going to ease past them. If anything, if Hazard's back by then I'll say it quite
past them as well.
What?
Fully ease past them, not even just get past them. You're saying ease past them.
Yeah, the first half, Liverpool tried, but for the most part, they barely could even get possession. They could barely even get out of their own box. Then you had the obvious Trent errors, which just completely put them in the mud. They have way too much to come back from, in my opinion. A 2-0 win, I'd say with fans, you could really try and push for. Without it, though, and with the defensive mistakes that we were seeing, no way. There's no way I could see them getting through this. I don't want to get clipped or nothing, but I think it's going to be Real Madrid going through. And it's jarring that the first time we play Madrid since 1997, I ain't going to be able to fucking watch it live. I can't be arsed.
Yeah, that is true. That is frustrating. I will ask you this. Would we prefer Real Madrid in the semi-final? Would we prefer Liverpool, Ian?
I prefer Liverpool.
I think I might be entitled to pick Real Madrid.
Same.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I think beating Liverpool, although they've won it recently, if you get to the final, I mean, because that's essentially where we should be looking now, I can't lie. We should be looking at getting to the final. That's the mentality you should be able to have. I think it holds a bit more weight if you've knocked out Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean? Where if you've knocked out Liverpool, I don't know if it has the same kind of oomph to it. But I think for as good as Real Madrid are, they have definitely got their flaws. The midfield three is fantastic, but it is slow as fuck. There's different things you can potentially explore. In terms of Liverpool, we all know the defensive problems. But the front three, if they want to hit and fire, again, Champions League semi-final night, if they want to up it for any occasion, they will. I don't know. It's a very tough debate which one you prefer to have. But it's one that I think we'd probably be able to control. Again, I'm saying this, I'm probably going to get clipped up. I think we'd be more likely to control Real Madrid's front three than we would be able to control Liverpool's front three for 2 legs. For one game, we did it already, but for 2 legs was a very different thing. Are we at home or away first? Are we away first, aren't we?
Oh, I don't even know. I mean, let's be honest. Who the hell knows whether we'll play one of these games even in England or in their stadium? So might not even matter, like in this fixture now. I honestly, I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, maybe that comes a big part into it. But if it is this way round, if we can keep a clean sheet away and get a goal for ourselves, then it would be great. But playing the way that we are, if you want to continue, if we can continue, and I still think certain players need to step up. But if we can continue even close to what we're playing at the moment, we've definitely got a chance of beating either one. We're away first again. We've definitely got a chance of beating either team, regardless of home, away, whatever. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's a tough debate about which one you prefer to play. I think we're all very obviously going to say Liverpool, but who knows what their situation is going to be in a couple of weeks' time.
100%. Lewis, you said Liverpool. What would your explanation for that be?
They're a lot weaker. Even if Van Dijk comes in, I don't think it'll be the same Van Dijk.
Is there a chance of Van Dijk being fit?
I think so. Didn't they include him in their Champions League squad for a reason?
If they rush it back.
Well, for semis already. I thought maybe for the final. But
yeah, I think it's more for the final line. But, I mean, who knows? I don't know the situation with his injury. I can't lie.
Yeah, but they just look a lot weaker. Also up front, they're a lot more wasteful too. Midfield, I feel like we can handle them. They ain't really the same Liverpool. Not right now, not this season. Real Madrid, their mentality is a lot stronger. I feel like a lot of people are underestimating them based off their injuries and everything, but now they're still a very, very strong side who could cause us a lot of problems. And if they get to the semis, they are definitely looking at winning it. Liverpool will think the same thing as well, but it's more optimism from them. Real Madrid will really believe they can win it. And plus, Eden Hazard potentially knocking Chelsea out the semis. I don't want that timeline in my life. So yeah.
Although I would fucking love it if we nutmeg Courtois for a winner.
See, this is where I have to let my tribalism go, because I'd go Real Madrid more just for that alone, but I can't. Plus, Courtois, no, wait. Courtois cannot get away with being able to play us in two legs without fans. I want him to have that long walk to the Matthew Harding by himself and get every bit of dirt from the Chelsea fans. He can't go there to an empty stand. He don't deserve that.
Hey, maybe we'll just play them again. Now, for me, I would prefer to play Real Madrid for two reasons. I think there's not much between them in how likely it is for us to beat them. I think it's evens itself out personally. But two differences. One, I would prefer to lose to Real Madrid than I would to Liverpool, because it would annoy me so much more to get knocked out by Liverpool than it would Real Madrid. But the much bigger factor is, against Real Madrid, our players wouldn't feel as much pressure because it's Real Madrid. And they'd feel slightly like underdoggy, while against Liverpool, who we've already beaten only a few weeks ago, our squad would feel like the favourite. And we saw that yesterday. Tuchel kept going on about it, that we were tense, that we were a bit nervous. As much as, we came through it, but it was also Porto. Against a better team, that might not go as well. And I think we'd be tenser and more nervous against Liverpool than we would be against Real Madrid. Hence why I'd probably give us a slightly better chance against Real Madrid, because I think our squad suits better to be the underdog than the favourite in terms of mentality. But obviously what goes against, playing against Real Madrid, yes, Liverpool won it and they've made two finals and pretty much the entire squad has. But the large majority of that Real Madrid squad, bar Vinicius and Courtois, has basically won the Champions League 4 times. So obviously that gives them a lot of calmness going into a game of this magnitude, while our players will probably be shitting themselves, because other than Thiago Silva and Hakim Ziyech and Aspi, actually, it will be the first time for all of these to play in the Champions League semi-final. It is different. It is different. But again, I don't know. I know it's the wrong attitude to look at it. Who would I rather play against, lose against? But I just couldn't handle what the English media and everything. If we got knocked out by Liverpool, if it's Real Madrid, hey, so be it. And then at the end of the season, I'll say, hey, we made the Champions League semi-finals. We're one of the 4 best teams in Europe. That's a good champion, a really, really good Champions
where we
League
used
run.
to be under the old guard, consistent semi-final appearances.
Exactly, and it would just piss me off less against Real Madrid than against Liverpool.
Yeah, that's true. Liverpool could be in fuck it mode by then. I don't think they're going to be completely out of the top 4 race by a potential first or second leg date. But again, it's a dangerous aspect to be in if you're in absolute fuck it.
Has as well, yeah. But I don't know if he started any semi-finals, to be fair. I don't know.
Can't remember.
But I guess the last game, which obviously happened last night at the same time as our game, which myself and Lewis talked about this already in the watch-along. Why on earth is 2021 and quarterfinals are still being played at the same time? Get your viewership up, UEFA, and play 1 at 6, 1 at 8. It's fine. Or 1 at 9, right? Use your brains, please. But how do you... Obviously, neither of you watched the full game back yet. I watched highlights. I saw some stats. I saw some analysis of it. Basically, Bayern Munich had 31 shots. Don't know how many of them on target, but a lot of them. Had loads of sitters. Choupo-Moting even hit the bar before Mbappe even made it 1-0 in the 3rd minute. And they had loads of chances. Thomas Müller after the game saying, they scored 3 goals and it's difficult to keep a front 3 like they have out completely. But we should have probably scored about 7. And realistically, had Lewandowski been fit, they probably would have won 10-3 because Bayern had so many big chances. It was actually a bit crazy. But I will say this. Why does every team, well, I say every team, Barcelona and Bayern Munich, decide to play a high line against PSG? Are you dumb? I've said this before. unpopular opinion of football is that Mauricio Pochettino is the most overrated manager in the world. That doesn't mean he's bad. That doesn't mean he's bad, but he's not as good as people say he is.
Yeah.
Against Barcelona first leg, Barcelona just cannot defend the high line, and they just gave the ball to Mbappe and he battered them. Fine. Second leg, they parked the bus more than we did in the 2012 final, and again tried to give it to Mbappe and hope that he would do something, but he didn't. And then Messi missed a penalty in that, so they just got super lucky. And again, Bayern just playing a high line. You can't even defend that against Bundesliga opponents, and you're trying to do it against PSG. That's just to me a bit stupid, personally. But also that assist by Neymar is outrageous. Like I'm sure you've all seen it. That assist before Marquinhos, like to even attempt it. I mean, Bastian Schweinsteiger tweeted himself saying that's probably one of the best assists he's ever seen, because to even attempt that ball, not pass it back to the goalkeeper like most players would, weak foot in the snow, just chuck that ball forward perfectly to Marquinhos. Unbelievable. Marquinhos obviously super composure after the score. But how do you see that game going for the second tie? I mean, there is a chance Lewandowski is back. There's a good chance Marquinhos is out for the second leg, which has a big influence on PSG as well, because obviously he had to come off injured yesterday. And then you presume he's probably 6 days later likely to not be fit. But how do you see that going? Lewis, let me go with you first. Do you think Bayern still got that, even if Lewandowski isn't fit? Or do you think it totally depends on whether Lewandowski comes back or not?
I only really caught the highlights because of the Chelsea match, but they made a lot of chances even without Lewandowski. It is just about
didn't finish it without him, I guess.
That's the thing. So second leg, it could be different. I think it's a very open game regardless. I think PSG will be itching to go one step further beyond, and also because they're facing the team that beat them in the Champions League, I think they're going to have just that bit more about them to see off this game. But it's definitely not easy or done or anything like that. There's still plenty to play for. It's just annoying that this is the game that's on the same time as ours. Like, couldn't we have got the Liverpool game or something like that, or even the fucking City match?
Yeah.
Apparently, it was a classic yesterday.
Exactly. That's it. It was weird anyway. It's rare that it's snowing in Munich, but not here. And why? Because obviously I only live 2 hours from Munich. It's not very often. Usually it's either the same weather or we have snow and they don't. But regardless, it's first of all, disappointing that we can't watch it. But Craigo, what do you think? Do you think Bayern still got this, or PSG to make the semi?
It's tough. It is really tough that to call. 3-1, it's game over. I will say that. But 3-2, I mean, would you realistically say that Bayern can't go win 2-0? Exactly. Play a different game,
Or
so
3-1, yeah.
Yeah, 3-1 and keep it interesting, something like that. Bayern as a team, it's full of goal scorers, whether it be from midfield, whether it be from the forwards. Even Choupo-Moting got one of the goals yesterday, hit the bar as well. He's not exactly the most outrageous player in the world, but Sane didn't necessarily have a great game, and people are still looking at it and going, well, he's crap. Well, actually, no, he got himself in a load of decent positions. Same thing like Timo Werner. Get yourself in some nice positions. He's not on a bad run of form. He's just had one bad game. Next week, this could be a completely different story, and we could see him bang 3 in himself. That's not completely, impossible. But the game is completely open, and it's still an absolute mockery of football that these games are being played at the same time in the quarter-final stage, because everyone would watch it. You're literally just pissing away viewers. But it's going to be such an interesting game. It's going to be such an interesting game in that second leg, because I watched the highlights, and neither of the two teams wowed me. No one really stood out or whatever. Mbappe, again, the Neymar assist is outrageous. That's proper Neymar. That's where you see the best of him, not this prancing, flapping around on the floor bullshit. I remember seeing Neymar when he was about 17, 18, 19 at Arsenal in a friendly against Scotland, and I was so excited to see him. And now I'm 23 years of age, and I just think the geezer is a complete prick. But if you get the best out of Neymar, that's what he can do. And is the Champions League going to be the thing that steps up for him? Do I look at those two sides as being the favourites for the competition? Yeah. Do I think the winner is going to come from that game? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, obviously, I do. I have a weird feeling. I don't think Man City's are going to step up to the plate the way that they need to. I don't know. I just think there could be a few things that are 50-50 about them. I don't know, but I still think the win is going to come from that again, because they've been there and done it. Man City last year didn't even make the semi-final. I think what is the stat I hear? They've been knocked out in the quarterfinals for the last 3 years, I think it was. And they're not
never made it to the semi-finals in their existence, I don't think.
I think they have. Didn't they lose to Barcelona the year that they went on to win it? 2015.
No, I'm pretty sure City have never been in the Champions League semi-final.
Yeah.
15-16, they made the semis and got knocked out by Real Madrid.
Real Madrid was
that in the semis, yeah?
Yeah, it was like, I think it was an own goal. It was a dead tie. That's why I don't remember. It was 1-0 on aggregate. Yeah. Nothing to talk about.
Fair enough. But I remember it. I just thought it was the quarters, to be fair. But yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah, they haven't done it. They haven't been there and done it.
Neither have PSG. And neither has Poch. I mean, they've made it to finals.
They've been to the final. That's the thing. Poch has been to a final. Both PSG and Poch have been to a final, actually. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, two.
Let's be honest with ourselves. We are probably on the weaker side of the draw in terms of potential big powerhouses of football. But, PSG can make anything happen in a heartbeat. So can Bayern Munich, so can Man City, so can Real Madrid. Those have probably got to be the 4 favourites in my eyes. You assume that Real Madrid will go through.
The favourites, obviously.
I did have it earlier. We're going to be in pot 1, but no, I think it's going to be a really interesting game. That one especially, and if I don't think he will be back, but if Lewandowski is back, then I see it being purely Bayern Munich. But I really want PSG to qualify because there is that uncertainty. I think if Bayern get to the semi-final, they're going to get to the final, and the same thing is going to happen again because that machine is just so well oiled and has done it recently.
Yeah, see, for me, I hate them both with a passion.
Yeah, I know you would.
it's a weird one for me because I think City are the most difficult team to beat in the final for us, and I'm just thinking of us in the final. And also, stars being aligned and that if we play Bayern in the final, it just seems like it's 2012 all over again, and we're just going to do that. And it's just going to be, it just makes more sense than if we play Man City or something. Do you know what I mean? So, and again, if Lewandowski's back, I would put a lot of money on Bayern going through there. PSG just look too vulnerable. They've conceded too many chances yesterday for anyone to feel super confident in PSG, I think. I mean, you can think they might edge it, but I think if the opponent has 31 chances against you and you have a second tie to play and all you need is to win by 2, then I don't think you can feel... And that's without by far the best player and arguably the best player in the world at this moment in time. So, we'll see how that goes. Hey, it's been an interesting week of football, that's for sure. Now it's back to Premier League for Chelsea, which hopefully we can get back to winning ways after that howl against West Brom. And Palace on Saturday afternoon, evening, whatever you want to call it, will be tough. Palace is always a tough place to go. And hopefully we can get back to winning. We have another super chat here by Artem. I appreciate it a lot, saying, as a football fan, I want to see Man City and Bayern win because I want to see that matchup. But as a Chelsea fan, I want PSG and Dortmund to win. Well, I see that. I would. The PSG thing, I don't agree as a Chelsea fan. Like I said, I think for us, the Bayern in the final it just puts everything written in the stars thing. It just makes so much sense.
I get it, but it's also perfect for Bayern to get their ultimate revenge on us. And it's
true. You're not wrong.
Really fuck it up. Yeah.
We should get Frank in just as an assistant just for that day.
Oh my God. Do you know how much of a meltdown you'd see if that happens?
Get Frank in the full kit and lift the trophy.
I'd see it just for the shit house. I don't even care.
Hey, no one's wearing number 8 at the moment. No one's wearing number 8.
Exactly. Yeah. True.
I'd rather 42-year-old Lampard wear it than Barkley. I will say that.
Damn fucking right.
Damn right.
Hey, it's been a brilliant stream, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to wrap it up here. If you're new here, if you haven't subscribed already, it would mean the world to me if you could. I mean, Lewis is saying by 4:20, Ian is saying the latest by the end of April. We've got to hit 10k. So to make that happen, you've all got to subscribe right now if you haven't already. Please do that. That'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe to both Lewis and Ian or Craigo 28 Football down in the description below. Their links are down there. Just click the ad, subscribe to both of them. Would mean the world to them as much as it would mean the world to me if you could subscribe. Smash the like button. I've said this many times. YouTube and likes. It thinks, there's a lot of likes here. Let's show this to more people. That's how we grow as content creators. So just go down below, smash that like button. Doesn't cost you any money, barely cost you any time. And of course, if you want to become a member, there's a link beneath the join button if you're on desktop, or a link in the description if you're on your phone. Of course, you don't have to, but hey, if you want to do that, all the info is down there. But yeah, I really do appreciate both of you guys coming on, Ian and Lewis. Appreciate all of you guys watching. And yeah, you know, up to Chelsea, 1 foot in the semi-final. It's a good time to be alive. Let's hope we can secure the deal next week. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea. And I'll see you next time.